would like to welcome Steve. Thank you, Steve, for coming. A little bit background about Steve. Coming from barrel boy to entrepreneur, self-made millionaire. Super interesting. I'm super excited and interested to hear a whole story now. I suppose we've been chatting in the bits and pieces in a shop. Now it would be nice to just to glue it all together and to hear a bit more in depth of it. Family, 4 kids.
Yep.
Still married.
Yep.
Fucking surprised on that
Poor
one.
woman.
I know. Oh God, bless her. Lost the business, rebuild the business, carry on being success. I'm uber interested to understand and to find out more about the resilience and bouncing back, no matter how many times you get knocked down in extraordinary ways. Probably last year I was dealing with my divorce bit. You were dealing with law case and touch and go there. Might be losing everything and might be not a super stressful time, but what I found that you were just able just to carry on and not lose a face of value. Just let's probably dive in back into the council estate.
I'm from a sort of working class background, big family. My dad's one of 4 brothers that are all larger than life characters. When I was a kid growing up, it was lots of days down the pub with all the family, lots of shellfish stalls and jellied eels, and it was all very South London. But really good, brilliant upbringing. And I think work ethic starts at a young age. I think you can sort of be imprinted on your subconscious. Your parents are working all the time. My mum was always working. She was cutting hair in our garage, which she converted. So that was the hair salon. And my dad was a lorry driver by day, and then at the weekends he would go off to France. Not sure how legal all this is, but I'm sure he'll be fine talking about it. And he'd load up on beer and cigarettes. And he'd make a bit of a side hustle, I don't know. He'd sort of sell that to friends and family. You'd go around someone's house for a party and it'd be my dad's beer that would be there, these little bottles of French beer. And it was always hilarious, actually. Little anecdote. I remember a dwarf appearing at our house one day. I opened the front door. And this guy who was clearly, as old as my dad, but as tall as me, and I was 8, opened the door and he was there, and I was like, wow, I was just blown away. And I was like, how can I help you and all that? And I think I'd seen the film, Time Bandits and everything else. I thought, this was dreams come true scenario. And he existed in my dad's world, because back in the day, you had an allowance per person to buy alcohol and cigarettes when you went over to France. So each person that was with you in your group, you could get 200 cigarettes and X amount of alcohol. So my dad realised in the family car, if he had really little people, he could get more alcohol and cigarettes. And the guy got a day out, and I think he probably was paid something as well. But I distinctly remember him being absolutely blind drunk at the end of my dad would do the Calais run, he'd come back, and he'd have this, sometimes the guy would be on his shoulders. It was brilliant. It was so good. So stuff like that, seeing that as a kid growing up, seeing my parents, both doing whatever they needed to do. We always had brilliant Christmases and stuff. I genuinely couldn't say to anybody we went without anything. We were really well looked after. And my dad's brothers were always really, really wealthy. I mean, one of them had a yacht and racehorses and all sorts of stuff, but very working class. It was all new money. They weren't... Again, I'm probably going to get shot down for this if they watch this, but not much class. It was all about...
You can't buy that shit.
Clearly. I mean, look at me. Clearly. I'm right here. I figured that one out. So it was that. And, I'm in the middle as well. So I think being the middle child is, I'm not too Freudian about it, but you kind of get the best of both worlds being the middle child. You don't get all the attention, which is what number 1 gets.
Yeah.
But
not as bad as the last one.
Well, my brother, I mean, bless his heart. But no, brilliant childhood. Really loved every minute of it. And it was proper South East London. A day out for us on a Sunday would always be to go to Petticoat Lane in East London or one of the markets. That would be like a proper day out. I genuinely thought the countryside only went as far as Otford. I'd never been anywhere. It had a Ford. I was like, wow, is this Devon? Have we travelled? We gone to Cornwall or somewhere? And it was Oxford, and that was, that was about as much as the countryside I pretty much saw.
Nice. Well, probably relating to, not from my own personal experience, but going to France, Calais, getting tobacco and alcohol. I know my millionaires neighbors, they did that.
Yeah.
But I mean, they weren't reselling. They were sticking up their wine racks at home, in their wine cellars. But I mean, everyone did that.
Yeah.
They just went.
Yeah, it was the thing to do.
Yeah, and then,
but we had like a whole garage full of it.
Right.
I mean, literally, my mates used to come round, and we'd open the garage door, and there'd be, it was, you'd never seen so much booze and cigarettes in your life. And then my mum would be cutting hair on sort of one side of it. It was good.
What a scene.
Yeah.
Tell us about your kind of work when you started as a laborer, waiter, wash up, bar work.
Pretty much any job you could get your hands on by word of mouth. I mean, I'm 54, and there was no LinkedIn, there was no email, there's no internet, so It was, you'd ask around, and you'd sort of get a tenner a day. I remember that being you were absolutely loaded. You'd made it if you're on a tenner a day. Labouring, evenings, working in bars, all that sort of stuff. And I think that sets you up. It gives you skills that you don't appreciate at the time. It does a lot of things. It makes you appreciate money, but it also gives you a lot of interpersonal skills. And I never knew that I'd get into recruitment, which is what happened right at the end, which is all about talking to people. And talking to people, when you're a recruiter, you've got two sides of the coin. You've got your candidates and you've got your clients, and they aren't the same people. Your clients typically are your clients are a lot older, might be directors or, C-level executives, and your candidate could be a school leaver. So, you've really got to be a chameleon and connect with both sides to make that work. And bar work, you just meet every Tom, Dick and Harry. You meet so many people, and building sites as well. I distinctly remember getting in a lot of trouble on building sites, larking around. I think I nearly burnt down a massive building site completely accidentally. Stuff just happens, doesn't it?
Yeah.
I remember throwing putty at this Irish glazing guy, this window fitter, and every time he turned around, I made sure he didn't know it was me. And then I literally had this little bit of putty, and he turned around just as I was launching it at him, and he dragged me to the top of the scaffolding on this building site and tied me to the outside plank as the labourer. I was 15, and I never did that again. But yeah, I mean, the waitering as well, working in restaurants and stuff, which I know, catering, is your background as well. That's a really tough gig. Low paid, hard work, late nights, but a lot of camaraderie. You definitely understand what it's like to work in a team.
Well, I suppose any slavery is, isn't it?
Yeah.
That's the only thing you got left. It's like, I mean, yeah, it was terrible. I
think I sort of gravitated towards those jobs because to me at the time, they were just so easy to go and get. And I don't think I ever got fired from any of them, but invariably there'd be lots of different opportunities come up. So you'd be a labourer for 6 months, and then you'd dip out of it and you'd work in a pub. I remember a mate of mine opened the first O'Neill's in Beckenham.
Oh, wow.
And he only got the job as the manager because he was Irish. He'd never run a pub, but it was an O'Neill's. And they interviewed him, and the HR lady on the way in the interview said, just tell them that you've worked in bars all your life. And he'd never pulled a pint, ever. And he got the job as manager. And he rang me up, he went, Steve, I really need a hand. I don't know what I'm doing. I said, well, I've never pulled a pint. I can serve a plate of chips or whatever. I've done that as a waiter. But yeah, and it was good fun. I mean, it's, as long as the pubs are really busy and the time goes quick, you can,
I mean,
it's a hell of a good day's work and earn your tenner.
Yeah, absolutely. So where your first signs of drive and hunger?
Yeah.
What was that like? And when do you what was kind of,
I think this cars. Yeah, I was very impressionable as a young lad growing up. My dad had always had sort of decent cars, or some of them are quite quirky. He had a rose gold 280 Merc. It was a 70s model. And it had a bench seat at the front, so you could get in it and you could all sit at the front. And sitting up front when you're a kid's quite a big deal.
Yeah.
Not that anyone wore a seatbelt back then anyway. But But yeah, that sort of rubbed off on me. The whole, the smell of a car and the going out for the day out and everything, and even the breaking down by the side of the motorway and waiting for the recovery truck. It was all part of the, when you're a little kid, you don't care, do you? And there was no Xbox. There was no. I wasn't surfing my phone and doom scrolling. I was looking out the window.
Yeah.
So a drive and things like that, wanting a new car early on, and obviously a place, something like a house or a flat. Really, started really early. I never saw the point of going to uni because for me, it was, it just felt like a waste of time. I just wanted to get out and work as soon as possible to earn as much money as I could. And I enjoyed meeting people. So it was a double-edged sword for me. I enjoyed getting out and meeting people.
So school-wise, you finished all GCSEs?
I was the first year of GCSEs, and this is my excuse because the schools didn't know what they were doing. I didn't go to the best school, if I'm honest. And I never did.
Surprised.
I didn't do a minute of homework. If it couldn't be done during the breaks at school, I didn't bother doing it. That was as much homework as ever got done.
Wow.
And my school were pretty relaxed about it. They never seemed to care either way. And I got on with all the teachers really well. I mean, I made it to sixth form and they made me a prefect, which always amused me. I had no idea how I was a prefect. I think it was just because I was mates with a lot of the teachers. It's education wasn't really high up on my radar.
So when were you start kind of build something bigger? For what you thought, what you are used to, your surroundings. Like when was that? When did you feel like it was a big break in terms of
I set my first agency up when I was 23. First recruitment agency up when I was 23. So I was quite young anyway. But prior to that, I'd managed to blag a job at Lloyd's Bank, and they made me a cashier. I was in Berkeley Square.
You can talk.
Yeah. I was in Berkeley Square, so there was, you had Langham's around the corner. There was a Bentley dealership opposite the branch.
The square.
Yeah, and it was a cool place, proper old money, really old fashioned.
Yeah,
and I was giving out money on a Friday afternoon to these brokers that were coming in. And they were kind of my sort of age. And they were getting out like $5,000 on a Friday afternoon. And then I'd see them on the Monday coming back in for more money. And I was like, I'm definitely in the wrong job. I'm the wrong side of the till. So I found out where they had a beer, which was fairly local. I managed to sort of get in with a little crowd of those guys. And then I got I didn't know I was getting an interview actually. I met one of the managers. And he happened to live in a cul-de-sac near where my mum and dad lived, and they kind of knew each other as well, which was very weird, small world. So I managed to get this job as a money broker at Pre-Bon-Umani. So I left being a cashier, went to Pre-Bon-Umani as a money broker, trading the Aussie dollar, South African rand, and the Kiwi dollar. And that was an interesting world to go from building sites and waitering to sort of 6 months in a bank to then becoming a money broker. And you have to trade, you have to pass certain exams. So I had to go to night school. So even though education at school didn't feel like, why did I need to know about, the Boer Wars or whatever in history? It made no sense to me. When I got jobs as a money broker and they said, you need to pass these exams to be able to trade.
That made sense.
I was trading money. Yeah. I mean, if you're driven by money, there's no better job. Even though it wasn't my money, I was getting a commission as a broker. And that sort of set me on the path. And I managed to do that job for 2 years. I was terrible at maths, really bad at maths. And that's kind of important to be a money broker. But I managed to sort of style it out. I used to take my clients out of an evening and I used to sort of figure out what was going to happen the next day. So I didn't have to think on my feet first thing in the morning. I'd sort of understand what their positions were loosely, not down to the penny, but I'd have a good idea on what was going to happen when I came into work the next day. Which is how I kept that job for 2 years. But like all good things, I managed to get out of it. I got 6 months sort of payoff at the end. And I met my other half. We went off to India, rode a motorbike around Goa. And then I realized I needed a job when I got back. And there was a recruitment agency called MSB. And there was a guy that owned it called Mark Goldberg. He's a bit of a name from back in the day in recruitment because he was the first ever IT recruitment agency. And he was only hiring at the time ex-City traders. So I just thought this is an interesting scenario. It's local, it's in Bromley. And at the time I had this vision of recruitment consultants just shuffling CVs, sort of typewriters, really old fashioned. I mean, we used to fax the CVs to clients. This was sort of not email. That's
Yeah.
how old I am. And that job sort of, I did quite well at that. And that was when shortly after that, I set up my own agency. That was the first agency. So yeah, I was 23 or 24.
And based with your business partners?
Not originally. So it's basically, I had my cousin wanted to set up a recruitment agency. He's a property developer. Not sort of person you'd put in front of a client. Very larger than life character, sort of builder, developer. So he and I got on quite well. He's a few years older than me. And I told him that I had this idea. I wanted to set up a recruitment agency. And I think some of his friendship group that he had done very well running recruitment agencies, some of the people you rub shoulders with. And he was already a millionaire at that point. So he said to me, I tell you what, we'll go 50-50 and I'll fund it. And off we go. Which was interesting because I never really read the small print when we sort of agreed to go into business together, as you do. You're all guns blazing.
Well, 23, you're done.
Abundant of enthusiasm, what could go wrong, and his family, blah, blah, blah. So without going into too much detail, because this is going to be on the internet, we ended up sort of, I needed to get out of that arrangement after a period of time. He sort of ran with me for 2 years. And the other thing that happened as well is not being very good at maths and being a blatant out-and-out salesperson. I was all about making the sales and not really focusing too much.
Retaining the money.
Well, no, we were pretty good because it was a very successful business early on. It was more a case of plotting growth.
Right.
For me to fully understand, how can I scale this up? Because I'd interview people that I wanted to work for me as recruiters, but you really need to understand what that cost is going to, what's that going to have on the bottom line? How quickly do they need to make a placement? At what level do they need to make a placement? What fees do they need to bring in for you to plot your growth and everything else, and to keep moving offices and grow bigger and bigger and bigger? So I quickly realized I needed a finance manager, friend of the family, got this guy on board. He invested some money in the business as well. And it was all going great guns. I took my first sort of long holiday. I went away with my wife in a motorhome to Canada, and we had 2 young kids at the time, 2 toddlers. And I got a phone call from someone in the office saying there's been this meeting with the 2 other, my finance manager and the silent partner, and she wasn't allowed in to take minutes, which was unusual. And straight away, it's a massive red flag. I didn't jump on a plane, had the holiday with my family, got home, I got this sort of letter saying, we're going to fire you as MD. And, the business needed, £4 million investment, blah, blah, blah. And I found out later on through a friend who was an accountant, it's quite a good ruse. If you want to get rid of a shareholder, what you do is you call a meeting and you say the business needs a load of investment. And you can give, if you're a millionaire, you can give the money to the other shareholders to get rid of someone. And you can say, well, I'll fund, this investment that's so-called that we're going to use as a guise that we're going to say is needed, and we're going to vote to say it's needed. And then you can dilute the shares of the person that you want to get rid of, because he doesn't put the money on the table. So I got this letter. It needed all this money investment, which it didn't need at all. It was a load of old nonsense. And yeah, it got a bit heated, as you can imagine. It was my company. I think there was a few exchanges of people saying, I'm going to come round and burn your house down. And, it got really bad. And I think they realised I wasn't going to go quietly. So I ended up agreeing to be bought out, because once trust's gone, that's it. You can't work with those people again. And they managed to buy me out just for enough money so I could start up again, but in a different sector. So the first agency was in IT, and the second agency was in life sciences, sort of drug research, which really interested me, because I lost a recruiter. I lost an IT recruiter to breast cancer. She was 23 and she had 2 kids, and it really affected me. I was surprised how much it knocked me. And her going through breast cancer, she beat it the first time, then it came back and got her, didn't survive. And I remember she was going through all this alternative treatment, and she used to sort of confide in me and the rest of the team, because in recruitment, you're quite a tight-knit bunch. And she was sharing her progress, and she was coming into work. So when I got out of IT recruitment, the life sciences side of things really interested me. It was more than just making a placement. It was something that I was really fascinated by.
So would you say that, going through leaving or getting bought out, obviously the trust issues and things like, how did that affect it? Did you go than saying, well, this is it, no more partnerships, I'll do this shit on my own?
Well, weirdly, you would think so, wouldn't you?
Well, not necessarily.
Shall I say the really weird thing about
Yeah,
it
go
all?
on.
I started up again, and we'll go back on what it does to you as a person. But the really strange thing about it all is I started up again completely on my own. And my wife was saying to me and friends were saying to me, oh, you never have another business partner, will you? You'd never do that again. And I re-employed my old finance director that had stitched me up.
But the devil you know.
That's the way I looked at it. And I re-employed him as my finance manager with no shares, literally, so that he had no ability to do that to me
voting.
again.
Yeah, no voting rights.
And everyone was like, you need your head tested. But they didn't fundamentally understand that for me, when I connect with people, you know, I'm pretty forgiving, and I do have this ability, rightly or wrongly. What you do in work, business is business, and it can be really cutthroat. And if you bare your throat and you give someone the ability to take a life business-wise, it can happen, and it did happen to me. And I didn't hate him for doing that. He saw an opportunity for his shareholding to go 50-50 with my silent partner and for it to grow and it just be all of theirs. I wouldn't have done it. When I say that, I'm not justifying it that I would then go and do that if given the opportunity. I'm just not like that. But I move on pretty quick when bad things happen in its work.
That's quite a strength as well, isn't it? To able
Well,
to,
otherwise, what
to
are you
move
going to
from
do? You're going to roll around the floor,
and
you know,
bitter.
dry your eyes, stand up and get on with it. What else can you do? You know, that no one's going to feel that sorry for you. It's going to make a fundamental difference. If you've been damaged at work, they're all going to go, I feel really bad. And then they're going to go and get on with their lives, which is totally normal. I get it. So I just don't see any mileage in wailing about it. You just got to get on with it. So, and I rehired him, and me and him, you know, he's been a friend for a very, very long time. And my old business, the other interesting part, my old company, shortly after I left, I think they lasted maybe 2 years and then they went bust. And I actually went to the liquidators meeting and I ummed and ahed. I remember having my card in my hand and I remember thinking I could buy my old company back for £1, but it had so much debt, I'd be getting the debt as well. And I just thought, this is just pride over logic. This is just, there's no intelligence by doing this. It had no staff. It had no real client base or anything. You know, it was just a name. It was a name, funnily enough, that my wife and I, the logo, we'd created the logo on the back of a beer mat in a pub, just me and her. So that meant a lot. And to see it, you know, be moaned and groaned about, because you have to put it in this London Gazette when you wind a company up.
Yeah.
And all of that, I very nearly did, but I'm really glad I didn't. It would have been a massive vanity, you know, reason to do it.
It would feel good, but not for
But it was
again.
damaged goods by that point. They'd run it right into the ground. So no, they didn't make a success of it. And actually, weirdly, if they had have done, I wouldn't have felt bad for them. I genuinely wouldn't have done. If they'd have took it and IPO'd it and floated it and made it a PLC, I'd have been, really weirdly. I know that sounds odd, but I just don't. I'm not wired that way.
I think I can relate to that. I noticed about the bitterness carrying within yourself, recognition of that. Like there's type of people, which is a kind of I see them, but I don't relate it. I don't understand holding on and being bitter.
Yeah, it doesn't get you anywhere.
It's like you sleep with that shit.
Yeah,
you know?
and it'll make you ill.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think there's two types of bitterness though. There's the conscious one, and there's definitely a subconscious that you can't really control.
I think subconscious one is a struggle because you don't know how it affects you.
Yeah.
Because I'm sure I am a little bit, still vent about shit from last year.
Yeah.
It's like,
But now we're encouraged to talk about it now.
Yeah.
Now it's
mental health.
Let's all have a chat about how you feel.
Yes.
That wasn't a thing.
No.
It was very much, I definitely didn't have the tools to talk about, what was going on.
Yeah.
It's just a case of just get up, get on with it. Also we had 2 toddlers, and I'd made these sort of verbal promises to my wife about where our life was going to go. And when you vocalize something, that's a contract with yourself. You can hear what you're saying. I don't know if that sounds weird or not, but when you're, I don't brag, but I'm quite clear about what I want to go for and what I want to get out of life. whether it's material things, you know, money in the bank. Where do I want to be? Where am I going? And I'd kind of made this contract. I'd said it out loud to my wife, and I meant every word of it. So I just had to make that happen. There's no way I could not let that happen. It was, we'd bought a bigger house. What are you going to do? It's like I didn't really see any other option. So as soon as the bad stuff happened, and I was out of my own company, I was back at it again. I think within a month, started up again. Big lease, new office, the whole lot. It never occurred to me that would be a bad thing to do, or to take time out and lick my wounds. I never, it's just, you need an income.
Yeah.
And you need it yesterday.
You need to move, right?
Yeah.
You need to move. So, mindset.
Yeah.
No bullshitting yourself.
Well, listen, we're all pretty good at doing that.
Yeah.
The thing that I have to manage is, because I've worked in sales for an incredibly long time. And again, this boils down to, I'm vocalizing something, I'm hearing what I'm saying. And if you're going to be a good salesperson, let's not use the word lying, right? If you're going to be a good salesperson, you've got to make everything sound great. Not in an American high-fiving everybody way.
Look at the most positive things of what you're selling. Right?
Yeah. And where that can be an issue is if you really badly want to believe something yourself. If you want the world, you want your glass half full, you want the sunshine all the time, you want it all to be amazing and great. If you keep talking that, vocalizing that, and I've read books on this that say it's a really good thing for your mental health, but there's a fine line between, it isn't all good, and you do need to face some realities about yourself and about your behaviors and about whether you're looking after yourself or you're being a right role model for your kids or whatever. But if you're constantly vocalizing, oh no, I'm great, all the time, if that's what's coming out of your mouth all the time and you're going to believe it, there is a lot of BS there. There's a lot that's not being very realistic. And being a salesman does sort of, the ethos, the mentality is just gloss everything up, make it all sound great and sexy all the time. And that gives you the ability to paper over your cracks. That gives you the ability to not face up to things that you really need to deal with, before they become chronic.
Yeah, absolutely.
So you learn a lot about yourself. I remember things were going pretty good and I wasn't happy, and I never could figure out why. And I went to the moon and back to try and understand what was going on in my head. I actually, one theory I came up with was, because things were good, I couldn't possibly be happy. Because they'd been bad before and I'd had to fight so hard, I was happier then in a really weird way. It sounds so mad.
Struggle.
Yeah, I'm a problem solver. I need to be fixing something, whether it's me or the business or someone around me close to me. And when there isn't something to fix, I think I'd got into this scenario where I didn't really. I'd got a good team around me with the agency, and it was all going really good.
Becomes a problem,
but I wasn't happy.
Comfort is a problem.
Weird, you fight so hard to get to that place where it kind of runs itself, and then you're miserable. And that was really when I started to want to understand about more what was going on, because then you bring all these other things in, like guilt. Why am I feeling? I should be here enjoying this moment. So that led me to triathlons. And not that you know it, but I did a few. I remember one year I did 6, all Olympic distance. Which was, for a little guy like me, a bit of a challenge.
Yeah, absolutely.
Not looked after myself. Eating petrol garage sandwiches, being on the road a lot. The culture, being a money broker, was just boozing and coffee. That was all it was all the time.
And the rest.
Yeah. So going from that to, triathlons, I only did those for my mental health. It was my kind of therapy, because it gave me, I had inner dialogue going on, and that chatter, when you're exhausted and you're focusing on, when you're swimming, you know what it's like. That was me. I've never been able to do yoga. I've never been able to meditate. I think the closest I could ever get is swimming, because you're just focusing on your breath.
Silence, isn't it?
It's silence, and you're you're quite prone, you're quite exposed, you're in the water, in a lake or wherever you're swimming. And it's a weird feeling. It removes a lot of things from your psyche and you're just focusing on your breath. That's all you can do. And if you're doing a proper swim and it's an hour of that or more, you do sort of come out calmer. You know, you've cleared a lot of clutter out your head.
Yeah.
And I got quite addicted to that. I hated the running. Weirdly, now I'm into the running. That's because my wife, she's an amazing runner, so I chase her. She's always in front of me. People think, who's that pervert? God, someone should call the police. Because she runs all fit and tidy and I'm just a mess in the background. But yeah, the triathlons, and I think that's how I know you, really. That was the first time I came for a coffee because I'd seen the shop and I thought, wow, that's not just a bike shop. And then chatting to you. I mean, rest is history.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, all the triathlon stuff. I do kick myself. I've never managed an Ironman. And I've got deep respect for anybody that can just pull those out of the hat. They make it look, you don't pull it out of the hat. It's a ridiculous amount of training. But a few people.
Discipline.
Yeah, but I think I'm pretty disciplined. I think it's on the bucket list. I think I will do one.
Of course, 100%. You are that guy.
Yeah,
you are the guy.
I don't know if I'll be around afterwards. It'd probably be the end of me.
You will be surprised. I think it changes your lifestyle pretty drastically, and then you become so self-aware to understand that unhealthy lifestyle, what implications and impact it has. And I literally do it for a structure.
Yeah, I'll
because
get that.
you can't blag it. It's not 5K park run. You can't just turn up.
Yeah,
you can. I mean, you can. You probably won't finish, and it's gonna be a really horrible day. But I think the structure of a year, and then it's like even now, it's like talking extreme personality types, right?
Yeah.
You want to go.
Well, no, I've got that.
Yeah. I mean,
peas in a pod when it comes to that. Do you know what? Interestingly, so many other people I know. So the guy I used to do the triathlons with, Chris. I hope he watches this. I'm sure he will. I'll send him the link. He massively identifies with that as well. He's self-employed, very, very similar, mindset to me and you.
Yeah.
And yeah, I think most people I've met that do. Because the other thing with triathlons, you're very much. I don't look at other people's. You probably do. I don't look at times and stuff.
I'm not that fast.
I'm doing it. There's part of me that's doing it to beat myself up for some bizarre reason. There's a part of me doing it because I get the biggest part actually is the endorphins. I am absolutely buzzing after a long training session. Like that phrase "high on life" couldn't be more apt.
It's amazing.
I'm literally loving. I want to bottle that feeling because that's what it's. That's just amazing. But yeah, the triathlons were a therapy for me. I mean, I used to run. I lived in Pratt's Bottom, so this sort of just on the outskirts, semi-rural, village green, very picturesque. Loads of places to go running during the day with all the birds tweeting. You're not going to get run over by an articulated lorry. It would be great. No, I would run in the middle of the night. So I would run at 2 a.m. or at midnight. I'd have like a belly full of dinner.
Bit of Rocky.
I'd just go, yeah, with music on. So I'd be smashing through bridle paths, annoying all the wildlife. I tripped over a badger. I ran into a deer. How do you run into... I'm not a little quiet guy. I mean, he must have been the deafest, most geriatric deer ever. And I hit a badger and a deer whilst out on my bike because I'd only ever go out at night, which is really weird. I've never quite figured that out. Yeah, I think the other thing as well, when you've got music on and it's pitch black, you can't even see your arm when it's that dark. And you're bouncing off trees and all sorts of stuff because it wasn't on the roads. I'd do all the bridle paths. So I'd fall over a lot.
No head touch.
No head touch. No way.
No, couldn't.
And it was partly, I don't know, not scary. It was just exhilarating.
Yeah, just chasing it. Just chasing it. Just chasing another fix, isn't it?
Yeah.
100%.
It was awesome. And then from that, obviously, you have to do the swimming, which is all about you're zoning out. And the biking, I always found the biking was just a doddle because as a kid, cycling around the council estates of South London,
on a little BMX,
not a care in the world, on a BMX, I did 2 paper rounds, so I was always used to getting on a
Oh,
bike.
that's massive endurance. You
Yeah.
get that into your legs, man.
Yeah.
As a kid, people underestimate.
Yeah.
I'm a videographer's partner is, and it's cycling quite well because of a BMXing. Every single BMX I met, very amazing cyclist. If you got on a road bike or even a mountain bike, it'd be just.
The only problem I have now is like I cycled from Bexley to Brussels. I actually didn't do the UK bit because the guys are going to watch this and they're going to attack me on WhatsApp.
Yeah.
So I just got the train down to Dover. A couple of us did, and then we went over to Calais. Then we cycled.
I saw a vulnerability leading up to that event.
Yes.
I've never seen so vulnerable.
I was like, Vinny, what do I do? I've got to take all my luggage with me and all that. What's that about? I was just going to like smell and just wear the same clothes and maybe just have a toothbrush behind my ear. But that was awesome. But what I find is when I'm on like a road bike, as I'm going down the road, I'm reading like little peloton, little pack. And then I'll see a bit of a curb. I just want to peel off and jump off the curb like I'm on my BMX again. I can't help it. And I'll be honest with you, I'm not ashamed to admit, when I'm out on my road bike, it's just me. I will do stuff like that. There'll be people going, what is the matter with that guy? Is he special? I'm literally doing little tail whips and stuff. I can't help it. It just makes it a lot more interesting. A lot of flat tires, as you can imagine.
Yeah, absolutely.
A lot of buckled wheels.
So let's go back to the mindset. What's a hard work versus talent? Like, and the reason why I'm asking that, because I have my opinion about the education system. Maybe because I'm ignorant, and I don't really understand it. The same like you, I never sat in a class, understood the point of it. I really did not understand after basic of mathematics, written language, a bit of history, understanding where China is and what's the capital of it. I was like, what is that?
How's that going to further me?
Do you know what I mean? It's like I didn't have that target. So what is this? Where we're going with that? Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I think common sense. I think it depends on the way you're wired, and no disrespect, to anybody. In fact, I'm jealous of intellectuals because they are just wired differently. I think there's 2 races. By the way, I had my DNA tested. I think I bored you with this. 23andMe, when they first started up, they were called a different company before that, and then they became 23andMe. So my background in life science, I knew a lot about DNA genotyping. So I had my DNA tested, and I've got a lot of Neanderthal in me, a lot, and that's what I think is what it's all about.
Do you drag your knuckles?
Drag my knuckles along the floor. Yeah, I can't help it. If I see like an old traffic cone, I'll pick it up and throw it around. A tire on a rope. Yeah, I just never really, I'm not intellectual in any way, shape or form. And I think people that are, they have an appetite for learning stuff that doesn't interest me. I read loads of books. I love watching, I can be a real dullard. I love a documentary. I'm into all of that. But when it actually comes to having to learn and regurgitate data like history and geography.
But what is intellectual? What is an intellectual person?
Well, so one of the other things, when I worked in recruitment and when I worked as a money broker, I used to have to take psychometric tests, and I used to have to take entrance tests to get it, for my firm or to get a promotion. And I learned quite early on that there's different types of intelligence, very clearly. We all know that anyway.
Yeah.
But it's it's measurable. So there's your social intelligence. There's blatantly the memory recall. There's that ability. And I think a lot of education is based, it's 90% memory recall. You don't fundamentally have to understand a lot of what you're talking about, as long as you can repeat it, and then you'll pass that A-level. Don't get me wrong, when you get to a master's, PhD, or maybe even a normal degree, bachelor's, you have to have the logic that goes with it. But up until that point,
I got a degree. Yeah, I'm a bachelor of science. Yeah.
But for me, of limited use, I've learned so much more through 2 things: through meeting some interesting people. But definitely 100%, the best way to learn is to just make a ton of mistakes. If someone says press that button, you're going to get a nasty electric shock, and you leave me in the room, there's just that button, I'm still going to bloody press it
and lick it,
because the person told me that 2% of that registered, but 98% registered when I got a really horrible shock. And it's about making the mistakes. It's such a cliche. There's lots of cliches. I promised myself I wouldn't over cliche
but
a conversation.
I think, you got to.
But they're learning opportunities. That's all they are. Mistakes are, if you frame it that way, you get back up off the floor much quicker because you can turn it into a positive. I learned out of that. And if you have to tell yourself you learned out of it, then you're not really wired that way. And that's probably a discredit to people that have learned that. But I just always have been that way. So if I make and the bigger the mistake, the more you learn. So go and have some whoppers. Get on with it.
It's
don't get me wrong. There's a time and a place when you've got, responsibilities, partner, kids, whatever. Some of those mistakes aren't acceptable. But to from the small ones to the big ones, you just learn. I think the people that don't learn are the ones that go on to become psychopaths.
People will get quiet. And then they can start shooting people.
They just keep making the mistakes. They love it. They're the ones that aren't right.
Yeah, I was speaking to my dad last week, and he said, just learn from other people's mistakes.
Yeah.
He said, you always used to tell me when I was growing up.
That would be much better if you could learn from other people's. And it didn't work for me. I used to watch a Wally make a mistake, and then I would completely follow them.
I can do this.
And do exactly the same. I'd be like, what? How did I manage that?
Excellent. So resilience. So I think we just covered that. And how about doing that uncomfortable things? Doing uncomfortable things and kind of using that as a positive and understanding that the uncomfortable is the key to the growth.
I think you have to own it. What you do, your actions have a massive effect on everybody around you. So accountability is key. Again, I think when you don't have responsibilities and you don't have a partner, you don't have kids, you're only accountable to yourself. And what you find with a lot of entrepreneurs, company owners, they are not scared of risk. I've literally got no fear of risk. I really wish I had. I wouldn't have done some of the things that I've done and got away with, because inevitably, some of them, there is an element of luck. I genuinely don't go around talking luck to my kids because, there's another cliche for you coming up. You make your own luck.
Well, the harder you work, the more lucky you are. Turns out to be.
Yeah.
Another fucking cliche.
Yeah, but it's a great one. And it's absolutely true. But there is also you just wake up and you go out the front door and a bird just does a massive shit on your head, or you trod in a dog turd that's stuff just does happen to you as well. But I think if you can, if you can own it, what you're doing, then you can be truly accountable. And also what comes with accountability is the feeling of success. Because if you know you've done it, if you're owning it, if you're accountable, and you knew, I pressed that button and it hurt me, I got a lot of electric shocks along the way, it makes the successes much more enjoyable. They're real. There's no,
because you owned it.
No silver spoon.
Through pain.
I had a great upbringing, but there was no trust fund. There was no private schooling. It was get on with it. Go out there and learn. I remember my parents were very much, if you don't go and get a job, we will get you a job. They never had to say it to me because I always wanted to go and get a job. But I never forget, my brother came back from university. He went off to Sheffield Uni. He did a degree in IT, but he didn't like it. And all he did was really smoke lots of roll-ups and eat a lot of noodles. I remember going up and seeing him. That was pretty much what he did for 4 years. And then he came home and he laid on the sofa for about 6 months. And he got a bit chunky and he had like long, greasy hair and whatever. I'm sorry, Rob. I know you're going to see this. But it all turns out good in the end. So my parents said to him, look.
No, he hasn't got the hair.
He's got no hair. That's it. It's the only difference. He's got a greasy, bald head. So, no, what actually happened was my parents, the conversation went something along the lines of, if you don't have a job by this date, we're going to get you one. And he just was like, yeah. Can you be quiet? I'm trying to watch the telly, whatever. And sure enough, they got him a job. He was a dustman. So they got him a job as a dustman, not to kick him in the pants. I think my dad had been a dustman at some point. He'd had 101 jobs. So it wasn't, we're going to pick you the worst job ever. It was just a job to go and get. They'd seen advertised in the paper. So he didn't even drive. My brother used to get a taxi to the bin yard and then get on the back of the lorry, hanging off the back of the lorry with all the other guys, emptying all the bins, and then get a cab home again. I'm pretty sure the cab fare was about as much money as he made as a bin man. But shortly after realising, I have to go and get a job, he then quit the bin work and got a different job. But yeah, work ethic. I think it's something that you see around you and it rubs off. And how badly do you want something? You know, if you want it badly, if you really, really want it, you'll go and get it.
So what would you say what separates from people who succeed or individuals who succeed to people who quit?
Just don't give up. Like, I don't know any other way. I genuinely don't know any other way. If I want something, the only variable is I can't tell you how long it's going to take me to get it. So, but I will. It sounds so bloody arrogant. I guarantee I will get it if I want it. However long it will take me, I don't know, but I will get that thing that I want. That's just being bloody mindedness and just, you know, never ever giving up.
I'm just reflecting on this question myself now. Quitting. I mean, what's hijacking a word quit? I mean, quit what? Going back to your day job? Is that quitting, or is that going fuck this? I don't want to be straight.
No, I think you're allowed to change your mind.
Yeah.
I wouldn't confuse that with quitting.
Yeah, probably. Yeah.
Quitting is like, I'll just lay on the floor then and let the world run me over. I don't think anyone really does that.
Nah, I think that's what I mean.
I think changing your mind and going, the trajectory I'm on, I'm another cliche, you know, shoot for the stars, you know, you end up on the moon or whatever.
Yeah.
That's a great one, because if you aim really, really high and you're just happy with landing somewhere up there, that's great, because you will.
Just a little bit better than you were yesterday.
You can't say specifically, I'm going to be on the far side of the moon, that's where I'm going to land. You know, you need to be a bit flexible, because life is going to be throwing you all sorts of curveballs.
Let's touch on a bit on a sport. I mean, we spoke about a triathlon background. Use a sport as a punishment. Very, familiar myself with that. You mentioned self-respect.
Yeah.
What's when you say you done triathlon, and it's because for self-respect? At what point did you lose that respect, and why did you need to feel like you have to regain it with a triathlon?
I think,
or through triathlon.
So with my work, my business partner and I weren't healthy for each other in terms of going out and socializing.
Right.
We both had the mentality that, we've worked really hard, we deserve going out. And next week, we haven't made a placement, it's been awful, we deserve to go out and drown our sorrows. So you end up on this never-ending loop.
Functional alcoholism.
Yeah. Absolutely. Functioning alcoholic, completely. But that had been going on for me all the way through, when I was first in London, working in Lloyd's as a cashier, all the way through to being a money broker, that the entire world evolved around alcohol. And I think at some point, for me anyway, I'd never really got hangovers at that point. I'd kind of, you don't feel great the next day, but you just get on with it. And then as time starts to catch up with you, I was finding that I can't keep this up anymore. This is just, I'm not much fun to my kids. They were really young. They need an energetic, to them, they're watching Barney the Dinosaur and Mr. Tumble, and they expect your dad to be like that. And I definitely wasn't that. So, struggling.
That's the reason why I watched Peppa Pig.
Oh, now I see the resemblance now.
Do you know what I mean? It's like, yeah, that's a real dad.
Yeah. No, my first two managed to get away with not watching it because it wasn't out then.
Yeah.
But In the Night Garden, what's that all about? That's the most mad, trippy kids program ever. It's brilliant. The self-respect and everything else, I think you sort of realise there's a better version of me somewhere that I could be. I do believe as well, when it comes to sort of looking after yourself, it's a bit like when you're on an aeroplane and you've got the safety card in front of you, and it's very clear, if there's no oxygen in the aircraft, put your own mask on before putting anyone else's on.
Yeah, I use that cliche saying all the time.
Yeah, if you don't look up, like, how can you expect to be a role model to your kids or to your friends, to your wife? How can you be a best friend, a good person, when you're really not being that to yourself? I think we've all got an inner voice. I went through a phase when I started doing the triathlons. My inner voice was like really negative all the time. I don't know when it started and I don't know when it stopped, but it's completely gone now. And I think it was a combination of doing the triathlons, and I got therapy. I weekly went to see a guy called John Callow, who was a game changer, a brilliant therapist. It wasn't the first therapist I saw. I just didn't click with the two before him. Very hands-off guy. Just let me talk. I mean, the poor sod, I must have bored him senseless. But you sort of learn to let yourself off the hook. You learn to not have this inner negative voice all the time. And it was a real weird position for me, because in work I was being this high-fiving salesman and with clients, and then actually inside absolutely hating myself, which just made it even worse. Because then you've got all guilt. You feel like you're a complete liar. You're like, there's all these layers that start to pack around it. And if you don't pop that core in the middle, you're just going to build your whole life around this. It's just the wrong place to be, the wrong way to go. And I needed to get back to that center and just rip all the layers off and start again. And the triathlons definitely helped me do that. I think that you bare your soul, don't you? I mean, what are you going to do when you're in the middle of a field?
So what do you think is triathlon, not 5K or parkrun?
What do I think?
Why you chose the triathlon, not 5K?
Well, anybody can run 5K.
Exactly that.
Right?
Yeah.
I can run 5K with a beer in my hand. I can ride a bike with a beer in my hand, and I have. All these things are doable in isolation. You pack them all together, and that's difficult. And then, I mean, I remember, in the early days of triathlon, really worrying about transition and like having bits of cotton tied to my bike shoe and all this so that my pedals were in the right position. And I'd invariably, I'd come out the water, I'd jump about and I'd crash into the bloke next to me, and I'd make the right balls up of it.
It's unbelievable how much. And the thing is, the closer you get to the date, right?
Yeah.
The less of brain you got left, because it just goes like a tumbleweed. It's like completely blank.
I had a really big accident. I did the Seaford Men's Classic.
Yeah.
And I was jumping on the bike, and I was so obsessed about transition and what was going on that I went flying down the seafront with all these other guys on their bikes. And I just remember thinking to myself, I'm amazing. I went past them all. And the reason being was they was all slowing down to stop, because you turn back on yourself, you do 180 degree, and you come back up the promenade. And I was too busy looking at them and looking at my pedals, and I just had this massive accident. I took about 20 people out, including spectators. I took people off their bikes. And the really annoying thing was, for them, I was actually fine at the end of it all. I think I landed on so many soft bodies. My bike was fine. I was fine. And there were people's bikes that were just...
Talking about luck, right? That's luck.
I did feel awful.
For about a minute.
Yeah, for a while. And then I got to get back in the race. What can you do? Triathlons, they generally all the way around definitely help my head.
Do you think endurance sports as a triathlon helped you in any way? Or
definitely. Yeah, 100%. Yeah, I mean, it on so many levels. You're doing a late night with work. You've got from the basic things all the way through to the deep and meaningful. If you're physically healthy, you can work better, whatever the job is. Even in a sedentary job behind a keyboard, if you're alert. I mean, I was, living off Red Bull and loads of coffee, and just crap food and everything else. And I'm one of these people. If I'm going to go and do a triathlon, all of a sudden, lo and behold, I'm into my diet. I'm into supplements. I'm into tracking my sleep. I'm into drinking gallons of water. It isn't. I don't just do one of those things. I have to do the whole lot or none of it at all. And lo and behold, I got an injury. I didn't do triathlon for a year, and there I am, Ginster's pasty in one hand and a cheap coffee in the other, on repeat. It is literally, that is how I am.
All on the red.
100%. If you open my larder at home, it is full of supplements. They don't do anything. They just make my wee go a funny colour. I'm sure of it. But I'm all in. I've read all the medical journals. I know, there'll be a profits warning at all of these companies if I stop doing a triathlon or stop. Well, I'm not doing triathlon, but I'm into running at the moment. Yeah. No, I think it's massively important for people like me anyway. I think for everyone, we should all be fit and healthy. But for my mindset, it really declutters. It just gives me a good brain clear out. You get those endorphins, and then you're buzzing.
Nice. Nice. Well, we're gonna talk one day about Biogenna. That's my new little.
That sounds good.
Yeah. Let's talk a little bit about the family and values. Father,
Yep.
4 kids.
Yep.
Obviously, 2 is not enough.
Well, do you know, I'd always said I wanted 4 kids, and then when when I met my wife, I think on our like literally the first time I met her, we were talking already about how many kids. Not that we were going to have. We weren't that forward with each other, but we just clicked and we got on so well. And I remember her sort of vocalizing, if not the first date, the second. Oh, I want 4 kids, and I was like, oh, I want 4 kids. No uncomfortable silences. We were just like, we get on really well. So yeah, 4 kids, not knowing what to do. I mean, parenting's so bloody hard. And I think it's even harder now than it was when I had my first 2, because there's so much expectation. There's, without getting political, there's the woke agenda. I could go on and on and on about, I don't think it's clear anymore what good parenting actually looks like.
I just go, what I know.
Well, we talked about this.
Right.
So parenting is I don't know if we should go down that rabbit hole.
Oh, why not? Fuck it.
Okay. Yeah. So I was brought up with a clip round the ear, and that was often. No, we can't be doing that. I totally get that. It didn't bring the best out in me, and I don't think, for obvious reasons, it's just not good. But we've gone so far in the other direction.
Absolutely.
There's no consequences anymore, and becoming last in anything is fine. Well, the world isn't wired that way. If you bring a child up with all of these mad beliefs, when they go into the world, they're just going to be eaten alive. When life's already a bit of a mad roadmap to try and navigate. But I think I'm quite lucky in that I believe my parents brought me up well in so many areas that they're sort of ingrained in me. So when it comes to my relationship with my kids, my dad, we talked about this the other day. I went to Ireland with him. He's 81 this year, and there was 3 generations of us. There was me, my dad, and my brother, and my 2 eldest sons. And I could see my dad was having the best time. He was just pinching himself. He couldn't believe it. It was great. And I want, he's always been a friend as well as my dad. And that's the relationship that I want with my kids. I don't want them to ever think, oh, well, a dad relationship has to look like that.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Not
there's
not authoritative.
we can't talk about this. We can't talk about that. So, no. And and it's not a case of, see, interesting. When I was growing up, my mum was the disciplinarian. She was very much the clip round the head, you're in trouble, blah, blah, blah. And my dad was always in the background, either laughing or pulling a face or just watching telly, watching wrestling or grandstand, match of the day or whatever, in his vest with a can of Hofmeister. But yes, I am, Nicola and I, we're very equal when it comes to bringing the kids up. We don't have this, you wait till your mum finds out. It's not like that. We sort of share the responsibility, and we ebb and flow as well. Like on any given day, she may feel slightly more, have more of an opinion over something than I would. So yeah, the kids might get short shrift from her on one day, or praise or whatever, and it might be a reverse role when it comes to me, depending on the topic.
Sure. How do you balance your success with being present? Because that's where moral dilemma is. And the reason why, again, every question like that, I think, has to be explained the reason behind it. People who will be watching, ultra driven people who don't necessarily have a business, so they can balance things out with but actually people who are working for mega money in the mega positions, and they are connected to the company, but they're not able to make their own rotas or flexibility. So they do work from 7 to 8, and kind of feel then neglecting their family, kids, and their presence. So how do you balance yours? Do you a bit more flexibility as it's your business?
So I'm happy with the title entrepreneur. Really, that nails it. But I don't have delusions of grandeur. I'm not one of these people. I definitely wouldn't call myself a workaholic. So there's a member of my family so the guy that was my first silent, turns out not to be very silent partner. He's a workaholic. So he's literally made, no joke, hundreds of millions, right? He's got everything he ever wants, fleets of Ferraris, the lot. Still gets up, crack of dawn, goes to work. Massive respect for him. I'm not wired that way. So for me, I don't see much beauty in life to be tied to that career, whatever it is. I could literally be an astronaut, whatever it is, whatever the job, and I go to work to spend time enjoying myself afterwards. I don't see it any other way. It's a massive bonus. If you like your job, brilliant, you're on to a winner. Go for it. I think if you're a workaholic, you're missing out on so much of life. So in terms of balancing, I've never had an issue. I literally prioritize holidays and time with my kids, playing silly board games or whatever it is, watching terrible movies, going to the museums, doing all that sort of stuff. That's always been way above how much work I can get done. I think why do you get up and live your life just to go to work? I don't get it. So I want really nice things and I will get them. I'll work really hard to get them. But then when you achieve them, all right, there's always the next thing. I get it. But workaholic? No, I don't get that at all. I think that's an unhealthy, really successful people. The ones I follow or the ones that I aspire to are the ones that have got the whole
shebang.
Yeah, the whole gamut, the whole menu, not just he does really well and that is him. He's just known as being an absolute workaholic, works himself to the bone, never seemed to, have downtime. Because if you're workaholic, you couldn't do a triathlon. I mean, how much dedication.
Yeah, I don't know where I stand with that because I'm always on, but I enjoy it.
Yeah, but your job is doing, it's a bit like if I was a musician.
All right, that's what Josh said.
You do triathlons and you work doing triathlons.
Yeah.
So there's not that separation.
No.
You're not going to work and then going, I've got to stop working because I need to train now. I know you do stop working to train. But, it's all in the same world, isn't it? For you?
Absolutely.
Whereas when you're trading Thai baht and Indonesian ringgit and South African rand and then you're going home and training, they are very different paths.
Yeah.
Not that I was doing that then because I was down the pub all the time when I was money broker, but
Yeah. No, I get what you say. Absolutely. So let's talk about success and perception.
Yeah.
Nice watches, cars, houses.
Yeah, I don't get watches. Don't get watches at all. I've got a Swatch. It's hilarious actually. This Swatch. So they did a deal with Amiga, right? And I think there's someone that works at Swatch that's just like me.
Okay.
That doesn't get like 5, 10, 20 grand watches. What's the point? Walking around, you're just saying, mug me. Yeah, literally, the places I grew up, even my Swatch, you were pushing a boat out, walking around with that on your wrist. The fact that Amiga did a tie-up with Swatch, I think it's just it's hilarious because I wear that and there's down my local, there's a couple of guys that they've all got their, huge diver's watch. Don't go diving. Big diver's watch. I bet they don't even go out in the rain with it, let alone like it could go to submarine depths. And I wear this and you can just see them literally throwing up in their mouths as they're drinking their beer. They're like, what? Amiga Swatch? How dare you? So anyway, I jumped in on that one. Yeah, but watches, I just don't get at all.
Cars, yeah.
I love cars.
Cars and house.
Yeah. Well, the houses, so Nicola is a designer anyway. So she designed our first house and then the house we're in now.
Which is very nice.
Yeah. And she's like really into, that's her thing. I just get the benefit of living in it. It's great.
The garden inside the house.
Yeah. Courtyard. Yeah. We had a heron come into the courtyard and take a load of fish. So we've now had to put this really evil grill.
Oh, right.
And it's in the middle of our house. So you come in and we've got this all these glass walls around it and this courtyard with this big pond in it. And it's now got it looks like they're in jail. They're all there. And I'm like, that's not, the feng shui's all gone now.
Oh, okay. Well, yeah, the sheep at one point, didn't you?
We got sheep. Yeah, I love the sheep. But yeah, ducks, alpacas.
That's so funny.
We're down to one pygmy goat, Roscoe. He's awesome. He's so good. And they're obviously a pack animal, the goats. They like being, they're really intelligent as a dog. So you shouldn't keep one on his own.
Right.
So when the other sort of passed away and he was on his own and we felt really bad, we've all made a big effort as a family to talk to Roscoe. So when fortunately, he's paddock's the closest to our front door. So he is constantly chattering away to me, Nicola and the kids, whenever we come and go, and we all go, all right, Roscoe, how you doing? We'll go over there and I'll have a cup of tea. It's just me and Roscoe. He's great. He's a bit of a pervert, if I'm honest. There's something not right with goats. They're not like, I mean, sheep are just really thick. You can do an injection every time they're shocked. I walk up with the syringe and they're like, what is that? Never see it coming. Roscoe's very intelligent, but often flashing his willy or something going on. He's not right. Don't know what's going on with goats.
Just like going on.
Yeah, and he's got a thing about earlobes as well. Gets on your earlobe like it's a little, like he's, I don't know. I'm not sure what's going on through his little goat head.
Fair enough. So let's go back, cars, then. So you done a bit of racing?
Nothing timed. So track days, stuff like that.
Track days, yeah.
Went through the whole thing of, I must learn to ride a motorbike. So I did my bike test. And then you realise how unbelievably dangerous and scary riding a sports bike is in London. So I ticked that box, was a biker for a little while, really enjoyed it. But I think in my head, I lived in California and it was always sunny. And then when I actually got on the bike and it was lashing it down with rain, it's just not the same, and you have to wear so much. People don't realise if you're a non-biker, when you get into biking, it takes you like an hour to get dressed. You have the amount of crap you have to put on. And then when you get to the destination, you're sweating like a pig and you've got to take so much time to get it all off again. And it makes that, if you just want to pop to the coffee shop, it's like, I can't be bothered anymore. I'll just drive the car.
What's about public perception versus reality for you?
Of what, me?
Yeah.
I've never really got it. I'm completely autistic like that. I've got no concept of worrying about what people think of me. I think that's probably the whole watch thing right there. I think if you wore a watch, you want people to see you wearing a 20 grand watch. So I don't get it. I'm just not interested. When it comes to cars, so it's easy to say to someone, oh, look, that flash get over there. Guy goes past in a bright red Ferrari or whatever. I've never, so I remember I really badly wanted an M5. I saved up and bought this M5 and it was a really big deal at the time. And I remember when I bought it, I was driving it back. I bought it off this Chinese guy who had a load of gambling debts. And he would only take cash. I had to go down and buy it, 40 grand cash. On the train, I had it in a carrier bag. I never forget. And it was down in Portsmouth. I gave him the money and it was this big quick transaction. There's the keys because he didn't really want to sell it. He just had gambling problems. So I was driving back and I remember within about 5 miles, I hated it. I just didn't like it at all because it was like purple. It was this really horrible M colour. And a lot of people sort of bibbing and at the traffic lights, go on, mate, how fast can you? And I was like, I don't like this at all. It's not me. Not that I'm into inconspicuous cars. I like beautiful things, but it just wasn't a bit of me.
Yeah.
And I only had it a little while. And I remember literally overnight, I'd kind of sold it. And then I bought a 1970 pea green Fiat 500. And my people were saying to Nicola, is Steve all right? I think they thought I'd had a breakdown. Like mentally, I just lost it. Because this car was like, you could take the seats out. If you went for a picnic, you could just park up and just lift the seats out and sit in the field. And it was the most crap car. It broke down every time I went out in it. But I adored it. It was just this funny little design, weird little quirky car. So yeah, I've always really had a thing for cars, but not necessarily, the status symbol car.
So not pretending to be perfect. But
no.
You're
cars with personality.
The reason I know what you like. I mean, there's like you like certain things, but you like for different reasons. You got a nice sports car, right? And other cars. But in terms of you're to me a little bit different. Come across a little bit different, and you never pretended to come in. I can't stand the people, and most people pretend who are pushing their agenda. Yeah. Of perfection of themselves, tending to have a lot of demons they have not dealt with. Yeah. But yeah, so
talking to cars just a bit because I can talk cars all day long.
Oh yeah, but I'm not
I know you're not, so I'm just going to pretend that you are. All right, let's just imagine
Okay,
you're
I'm
really,
really interested.
suddenly interested
I'm
in
really
cars.
interested. Go on, tell me.
So, like over the years, when you get into certain cars like your Ferraris or your Porsche, your GT cars like GT3 or whatever, and Lotus as well, the owners are really anal. They're like really, really dull. Not all of them. Don't want to completely get a lot of hate for this, but there's some seriously specific tire pressures that you must run all year round. And if you don't, you're straight to hell. This is a really bad thing.
It's a little bit like bikes.
Yeah, and I would be literally putting my bike in the back of whatever sports car I was driving at that time. I would literally be, the thing, people used to photograph my car with different bits of crap in it or hanging off the back of it and then put it on the forums and go, who is this guy? We need to find him. He can't be, if he's a member of our club, we need to expel him. And that happened more than once, especially with the Lotus guys. And I love my Lotuses. I've got an Emira now. But no one I know does the sort of stuff that I do to the cars that I've got. I don't really clean them. I drive them in traffic. My first ever company car was a Lotus Exige. It had no carpet. You had to wear earplugs. You pretty much had to wear a crash helmet, if I'm honest, to drive it down the street. And that was not my first company car, but when I set up my agency, it was the first company car that I had.
Right.
And I just drove that constantly. Everywhere I went, I drove it. It was brilliant.
Is it interesting? Is it bothers you how people perceive your success? Or you just completely...
No, I not at all. I think there is a bit of an irk. It does get a bit annoying when you hear someone go, oh yeah, he's been really lucky.
Oh, fucking hell, yeah.
I want to sit them down and just bore them to tears. I'll get them to watch. I'll get them to watch this podcast. They can know all about it. If I hear that, it just I'm like, no, you got no idea. It is a case of just being relentless. That's how it happens. So I don't really. The word success sounds so bloody.
I think
for me, it's a negative word. It shouldn't be. It's not because I'm embarrassed or anything like that. But it just comes with this. I just hear in the back of my head, oh, he's so lucky.
Still, maybe probably need to find out what actually success is. Is it percentile in terms of how?
Well, yeah. What's the measurable?
What's the measurement?
What's the data point? I don't. It's not about. It's definitely not a bank balance.
To some probably is, so that's how you measure it. It's a numbers, like probably happiness and health. I don't know. Everyone's different, right? Everyone's different. Relationship with your kids, seeing your kids grow and being healthy and being happy. What is success?
I think success is being happy with yourself.
Yeah, that's a good one. Yeah,
because if that's right, everyone around you's normally okay.
Yeah,
they're not suffering. They're turn it into a negative. They're not suffering. They're happy. They're happy. But I think if you're in a good place, then you can be a ray of light. You can be for the people around you. Because I don't know who it was, whether it was my parents or someone said to me years ago, if you surround yourself in shit, you come off stinking.
Yeah.
And it's just the way it is. You want to rub off. I get a massive kick with people that I've worked with over the years, seeing them do well. The minute they start to become career successful, because that's the only thing I can really influence when they're working with me. Although no, I try and influence all sorts of things in their lives.
Yeah, you're a fixer. Alpha males, fixing everything constantly.
But when I see them doing well, that is the biggest thrill for me. Like, I remember I didn't pay myself for a whole year because the business couldn't really afford to do it. But the staff that were with me, when they did a placement, they were due that commission. So, seeing their wage slips. And I remember my finance guy was like, that's really frustrating. I'm like, that's not. What are you talking about? Like, and I would encourage them. I'd be emailing them pictures of new cars they could go and buy, or a bigger house that they could move into.
But I think it's just to do something with a little bit selfish thing as well. I mean, if you are half of a brain, you do mathematically, you can work it out. If your circle of people, no matter it's your family, friends, your colleagues, are doing well, no matter what happens, you will do well. You can't be A1. So it's just almost like a self kind of
Yep.
Program
Yep.
going like, well, let's bring everyone around me up.
Yeah.
And I'm sure, they will drag me by the ass. Go, this guy was actually all right then. It's kind of
I
feeds
agree.
off each other.
Yeah. I think visualization as well is a thing that I never fully bought into, that you can visualize where you want to be or how you want to be. You can, people say you can visualize a paycheck and then you will get it. It will happen. I'm not sure about that, but visualization, I'm a very visual, because I'm not an intellectual. It's what I see and feel around me. So visualization is quite a big thing as well. Having that vision of what I want, and then that would then happen.
Let's talk a little bit about stress and the volume of it. Is like how to go through it without collapsing. How do you deal with it? What is the tricks maybe you can share, or what works for you?
I'm the worst person for that. I'd never give. Now I feel comfortable talking about it, but I think the problem is, for me, I've arrived at a place. I sold my business. I'm out of the sort of rat race, if you like. I'm not a recruiter anymore. I don't have people waiting on me, waiting for me at work to turn up.
How do you keep calm during the storm?
You got to own it. I think if it's your storm, I don't tend to get involved so much because I want to fix everybody's problems. I just immediately think that they're my problem and that I want to. It's a problem for me. Therefore, I'm going to make it right.
Right.
So my eldest son's looking to buy a house at the moment, and all I'm doing at the moment is just on Rightmove and Zoopla, and I'm like signing him up to.
I've got a house to sell.
He's up in Loughborough. I tell you what, you get a lot of house up there for the money.
I can imagine.
Jeez. But I'm all over. I mean, the poor guy, he's got a day job, and all he's getting from me is like constant. Why haven't you looked at the WhatsApp I just sent you? And he's in a meeting, and so I'm all over it. But yeah, I tend to sort of invest in other people's. I just want to fix everything, whatever it is, small or big problem. I think that's what makes me tick.
Going back to the cliche word success and what we discussed versus inner peace.
Yeah,
where the balance is with that, probably success that business, money coming in and working, and how do you find the inner peace? How do you balance that out?
I'm still trying to figure that one out. I first and foremost, if I can be happy, then there's a lot of inner peace that comes from that. But you can end up being on this never-ending search for happiness. I think I get quite envious of people that are just really calm and happy. I'm not like that. I'm very much on it or asleep. Wake me up and then I'm on it again.
Yeah.
Oh,
so that's quite. It must be quite a lot of level of cortisol, because if you wake up in the morning and you're like, I'm on.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, I had some health issues that were as a direct result of that. So I've got like really bad stomach.
I mentioned
loads of problems with that. I mean, it's a tough one to manage, but lots of eating well. Try and get some sleep. I sleep terribly. I genuinely.
But do you recognize that now and you try to deal with it?
Yeah. And there are some things that if you're really religious and you stick to them, they work. Don't go on your phone. So there's a 3-2-1 thing. So don't eat 3 hours before bed. Don't drink 2 hours before bed, and don't be on your phone for an hour before bed.
That's good advice. That's a good way of putting it.
And there's me with a Subway and a pint of water, on my phone, and it's midnight.
Oh, mate, it was like other day. I felt like a rice log, but I had a hardcore training session.
Yeah,
and
I've trained late, so I'm starving.
I was with a toasted bagel and peanut butter sandwich in bed. Eating
Brilliant.
I mean, like
living the dream.
The fucking crumbs, mate. That's what I was annoying.
No, that's the morning snack. The crumbs.
Just picking it out.
You want big crumbs?
Yeah, absolutely. What's what happiness is looking for you now? What's looks like?
Well, so we're not, obviously recruitment's finished for me, but So we bought a big old house, and it's got some outbuildings and stuff, and we're getting on with some property things, because property, interestingly enough, as much as the recruitment and everything else has been, successful, and I've enjoyed that journey, being in Southeast London, and my wife as a designer stroke architect, we've always bought an old place, done it up and sold it. And we've almost definitely made more money on the property journey than in any other.
Yeah, you said that to me. Yeah.
In anything else. So, 4 kids is 4 responsibilities to set them up.
Do you think you're overcompensating with 4 kids?
Yeah.
Rather than being a bit more like your parents, go fuck yourself. And,
no, absolutely. So they have to go out and get on with it. There's no like, there's not like 100 grand there, and I mean, forget that. No way. But you do
listen to me like, what?
They're like, yeah. Literally not going to watch this. I'm going to make a point. They don't know I'm here. They think I'm seeing my mum and dad over the road.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, yeah, they're going to be loaded when I cark it. That's a fact. Although 40% inheritance tax, I'm not so sure.
Walk around it.
Yeah. So no, I mean, I'm only 54. I need to be getting on with sorting out some of the property stuff that we've got, which is a lot of work. And I right at the beginning, we were talking about me being a labourer. So I will hire a digger. I'll be on the digger. I'll hire a dumper. I'll be on the dumper. I'll be shovel in hand. I'll be getting out there, getting on with it.
Yeah.
Don't get me wrong. If it needs anybody that is a skilled tradesman, they'll be here. They'll be doing it. But for the grunt work, the donkey work, I'm really happy to do that. I love doing that. I love getting out there. Roscoe's watching me from across the field. What is he doing now? Idiot.
Let me just chew his ear.
Yeah. Where's his earlobes?
Why conversations like this matter to you? If it matter, fuck it at all. That's
no. Insofar as for me, it's a conversation, isn't it? And if you meet someone that you can relate to on topics that really aren't, let's be honest, they're not. I talk to you about things that I don't talk to anybody else about.
It's a strange that I've got that gift, don't I?
Well, there's the sort of one step removed. My social group, my mates. I went to infant school. I went to nursery school, infant school, primary school. It's the same group of guys. So I think you build up this expectation of how you all are with each other, right, and you just fit back into that when you see each other. Don't have that with you. So you're going to get
the date.
Exactly. Yeah. So there's that, it's a different sort of relationship. And I've laughed about it with you many times. I come down for therapy. I have a coffee, set the world to rights.
Fucking cost my therapy a lot.
Set the world to rights. And if you think about it, I mean, I've dabbled with some triathlons, and I'd probably do a bit more running now. But my relationship with you isn't as a client. No. You're a mate, so I come down for a coffee.
Yeah, don't make much money out of you, mate.
Mate, what, £4?
£4, 3 hours later.
Yeah.
But that's what it's all about, right?
Yeah, that works really well for me. I mean, you make awesome coffee, which is a massive draw as well. I mean, roasting your own coffee beans, I'm like, what? That doesn't happen around here.
Nah, definitely not.
I don't know where that happens. I've been in Tunbridge Wells all weekend. I don't think we were out everywhere. I didn't have any beans that were roasted on the premises.
But very rare now, because we're such a big coffee drinking kind of lifestyle, with coffee shops, and it's so many independent roasters around that they buy huge volumes.
Yeah.
So actually I lose money by roasting my own coffee. But it's not about, it's probably a little bit ego.
Stop.
Yeah, no, it's a chef thing. I mean, I looked at it. It looks like a nut.
Yeah.
The bean, it looks like a nut. I can roast that.
Yeah.
Let's get a roaster.
Yeah.
Let's try it.
So have you never done it before ExN?
No. Never.
Really?
And I haven't got, I self-taught the roasting. I'm absolutely still ignorant, because it's such a vast amount of coffee beans of different types of flavor, acidity levels, and
see, I get bad FOMO. That's one thing I do suffer from is FOMO.
It's like
I get real,
it's like
I'm
wine.
thinking, is there a better one all the time?
Yeah.
So something can be good, but I'm always thinking, now there's a better one. I just haven't found it yet.
Yeah. I'm the same. always in search of that little bit better, you know. But when there is like reality, what as a business, you need to think, well, how much I can be able to sell that, and who's going to buy it.
Yeah.
So I'll try to.
But you know, that fascinates me as well. I've talked to you about this with the work side. You know, I just think you got a really good brand, and concept wise, you know, like I say, the roasting your own coffee beans, the you know, the conversation. You know, I'm not special. I know that you talk this. Oh, he doesn't talk to anyone but Steve. You know, I go in and you're like, chat. And
I fucking love people in small doses.
So yeah. You like turn them off now and again.
You just walk away.
So I think that also interests me as well, because I think anyone in hospitality is like, that is brutal. To make a pound is impossible, so difficult. But I think if you can merge, you know, if you understand what you're good at and you just push that, I think the podcasts, well, you know, when you first said about it, I was like, 100%, you have to be all over that. Why you haven't got that thing that I said, laminate it, it's the QR code.
It's on the fucking door.
Is it?
I'm telling you, as soon as you texted me, I ordered.
Okay, cool. You need
Google
one.
review card.
you need one by the till as well.
No, I got one.
Good.
I got one by the till now. I got Jackie was the first one to review us.
Cool.
From that card.
Brilliant.
She's kind of listen. I don't know a lot about the business. I'm growing into the entrepreneurial kind of shoes. I'm learning. I'm speaking to people. I'm super excited, you know, have you here because you're sharing it and the mindset, and it's like I'm finding common things with people who is achievers and want to push the boat out and taking the risks, and I find it that's fucking fascinating. Yeah, absolutely fascinating, and because the problems is always there for everybody. No one is different. No one is different. I
think it's whether they wear their heart on their sleeve. I think, and not everyone's got the communication skills, so they can't verbalize. Some of them can't get it out.
That was my biggest weakness in school.
Really?
Talking.
Now you don't shut up.
Fucking. Honestly, I don't know how the fuck I do this.
I don't believe you, actually. What, you were sitting there, like, not saying a word?
No, weakness, talking. Overtalked teachers.
Overtalked?
Oh, yeah, 100%.
Yeah, now I get it. The pennies. Yeah, I totally get it. Yeah.
So that was the biggest problem.
I was literally motor mouth. I was everyone around me was like, if you don't get a job that involves you just talking,
but how
something's
different,
gone wrong.
How different I was right off. You know, and I'm not saying just me, it was for 4 of us in the class, a different set of skills that not recognized by the educational system.
Yeah.
And you were right off. You're wrong because you don't fit in the parameter.
Yep.
So if you're over intelligent or under intelligent, you're pretty much fucked. He is now in here as well in this country, but I think in here you have a bit more support. What do you think for spaces like ExN? Because that is a honest question to you, because you're entrepreneurial and you see things, and we always talk about it. Why do you think ExN Social is in spaces like this is more relevant, more important this day and age?
I think, for me, so I can come at it from my end with real honesty, it's, you know, I can take my bike I can go to the Yellow Pages, I can go on the internet and find a bike shop. I can find a great coffee shop. I can go and ring up one of my mates and moan at them down the phone. I can, but the brand, the ExN and everything else that you've created, that you're developing, pulls a lot of people, like-minded, interesting people together. The guys that I talk to that are there, they're either just done a long ride or just going out for a ride, or they're taking their bike to be fixed, or they're a bit like me. There was the property developer guy who was the footballer before.
Oh yeah,
he's a fascinating character. It's a good melting pot of like-minded, interesting people. That I just think works. I just think if you grow that.
And what? Here we go. The cliche ones coming up now. What advice would you give younger self?
Get on with it. Just get on with it. Stop. You know, overthinking. Everyone overthinks. I overthink. Even though I'm a proper doer, I don't tend to I do think things through, but probably to a bit too much of a degree. You know, because I said earlier, I get FOMO. I'm always looking at, you know, a review of this or a, you know, I'm obsessing about, is it the best of whatever it is that I'm trying to achieve or buy or whatever I want to get. And that's everything I do, from, you know, what butter I put on my toast to, you know, writing an email. I'll write it, put it to one side, come back to it, change it.
So you don't press go straight
And then
away.
I go back to the first one.
Right.
I am obsessed about action, about doing things, but I could have got a lot more done just by getting on with it. You know, most of the clients I met over the years are buying into me and not my brand. They don't care what my company's called, and they don't mind a grammatical mistake here and there on an email.
I think it's less and less it becomes relevant.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because people know that people in a suit,
yeah,
with a white collar,
yeah,
is a big as robbers.
yes,
Can be.
yeah,
And that's by all means, not
Yeah.
everyone.
yeah.
Um,
So yeah, just getting on with it, and not deliberating. You know, don't waste time. Just get on with it, because it's all doable. It's all out there. If you want it, you just go and get it.
mm,
And that sounds like really arrogant, but literally, if you just want it enough and you work hard enough, it's all there for you. Yeah, that's better. The younger self, I can't really say I've got loads of regrets, really. Just, like I say, I just wish I could got on with it a bit quicker.
no.
I would have been self-employed a lot earlier. One of the things that really frustrated me, actually, when I set up my first agency, I remember going and seeing clients, and I'd got on really well with them on the phone. And then when I turned up, when I was 23, I looked about 11.
Really?
I was like the Milky Bar kid. Literally. You could see their faces when I turned up. They were like,
It's like he can talk on the phone.
yeah. They were like, he's really young. And some of my clients in the space that I worked in life sciences, they were like knights of the realm. They were OBEs and MBEs. These were super high up professors.
Right.
And you just couldn't reach their heights unless you were of a certain age. So they didn't expect the company owner to rock up to meet them and be as young as I was. It was really frustrating, actually. It was quite prejudiced, if I'm honest, early on.
No one took it seriously.
Well, they kind of would, because I just wouldn't give up. They were like, oh, he's obviously been dropped on his head as a baby or something. He's like, he's going to work for us. He's not going away. So I would get the work, but it would have just saved a lot of, you know, I was so bloody minded with having to make it work that the appearances just annoyed me early on. Now, of course, I've got a face for radio. Now I'm like a, you know, old scrotum face.
Ah, come on.
So, you know, none of that's an issue. And the irony is I don't do it anymore.
What's next for you in terms of, and what keeps you hungry? Like, well,
the next thing, like I say, getting on with the property at my place. I mean, I've got, so 2 of my kids have flown the nest. One's just about to go off to uni, and then the youngest has still got those decisions ahead of him. So there's loads of being a parent.
So
doing packed lunches and, you know, get out. You know,
How old is your youngest?
13. And none of my kids are what I would call normal. They're all very strong characters in their own ways. I remember my daughter, Florence. She was about 4, and I used to sort of pass her in the hallway, and in the morning she'd be all sort of angelic, all her hair be all ruffled up. She's just woken up, she's all warm and cozy, and I'd sort of walk past her and I'd go, oh, hey, gorgeous, and she literally stamped her foot and was, don't patronize me. I was like, wow, you're 4, you know, you're going to be.
She's your kid.
Yeah,
sure.
Absolutely. Well, yeah, a lot of Nicola in her as well.
Not just spec nickel.
So yeah, I mean, you know, you bring them into the world, and I think you've got a responsibility to shape them as much as you can put the time and effort in, to the point, even if they don't want that much shaping. You know, don't get me wrong, you don't want to force it on them, but you've got to learn the skill of being able to sort of talk to them, and that dual role of being a parent and a friend, and
learning from them too, what they bring on the table.
Yeah.
That's what I learned. And the biggest thing, this is hilarious. So I was going, my dad used to be called Goat. Because goat, mountain goat.
Right.
So the reason why, because he was
not
extremely
greatest of all time, goat.
that's fucking exactly where I'm going with that. So it was goat in Lithuanian Russian language, nothing to do with English.
Yeah.
And because of his extreme expedition things. So he was never give up, a guy who fucking climbed the highest, would go days after days after days. And he was just an animal. So the way to describe anyone as great as I would call him goat. So that was his nickname.
It's a cool nickname.
Yeah. So
I bet he loved that.
yeah, well, of course, I'm sure he loved everything about himself. So he's like, and I went to the kids to explain, and I thought Ronaldo and are like called goat because of that.
Yeah.
And then he's like, and I was going to my kids, going like, well, that's just like your dad, your granddad. And they're like, what do you mean? It's like, well, the goat, It's like that. Have you seen the fucking dots after each letter? It's great of all time. I was like, oh,
I do that all the time.
I was like, well, and then it kind of dawned on me to listen to your kids. Listen to your kids because they carry information that can educate you as well.
And I think the thing I've noticed more than anything is they give me a viewpoint that I naturally don't have because I'm not their generation. And the thing is, when I read a news article, could be from the Times, could be BBC, could be whatever, could be an opinion on the internet by some lunatic, I'm naturally skeptical because, at our age, you get a bit wound up by the whole woke thing, this culture.
Yeah.
So I'm biased straight away when I read something. I'm like, oh, well, they're pushing their whatever agenda, blah, blah. When one of my kids around the table says it, and they're not editorially trained, they're not journalists, they've not got some branding behind them, they're not getting paid to say or have an opinion like the one they'll express to me, I take it on board. So when they'll talk to me about how they feel about something, that's when I'll sit up and listen. Not normally when I read it in the press, And my daughter in particular, she's very, she doesn't know it, but she'll talk about human rights and all sorts of stuff. She wouldn't label it as that, but she's a real advocate for the underdog and the way she'll talk about stuff. You bring up Elon Musk in my house.
Shot.
Yeah, like she's like, no, he is the devil. I'm like, why? Because he's really successful. That makes him a bad man. And she's like, no, he'll. I don't want to get liable, but she'll have an opinion. But she does, she's got her social group as well. So obviously, you have to meter what you're hearing from them, and you have to make sure they understand both sides of the story with everything. There's a lot of kids, none of my kids are particularly spoiled. I wouldn't say they've had it hard, but I don't spoil them either. But I am very conscious that it's easy to have a viewpoint. We can all be champagne socialists.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, we can all be super lefty
and
then jump in our Range Rovers and just pop to Tunbridge Wells Waitrose to pick up our ciabattas.
It's those funny videos from immigrants coming in Dover, and the guy was walking around with a clipboard, and he's saying like, "Oh yeah, so you probably immigrant, you need to look at." So we're doing this a little thing. Would you house the immigrant in your house? Because they got to live somewhere. So we kind of read their own questions, very cleverly done. It's fucking hilarious. Yeah. They go like, so how many bedrooms do you have in the house? They go like, I've got like 2 bedroom, 3 bedroom, 4 bedroom house. Like, all right, how many people you got living?
Yeah.
And we're getting like, we've got living only 2. That's house. So well, you got 2 more spare bedrooms, more bound to you to have, and straight away when it gets close to home, the fucking morality of it
Big
all it goes. So it's
you can pick holes in it so easy.
I mean it is, and I think the objective is to keep people divided.
Yeah,
and when you have a really strong opinion and strong believer onto something, you can divide people.
Oh yeah,
and what I learned, try to understand. People trying to understand what's an objective, where it comes from, and is actually and don't be extremist.
Yeah, 100%.
And extremists are now related now to certain parts of a Muslim religion, but most of the people, I believe, are still nice people, no matter where he is. And I think there is some sort of feeding mechanism to divide people. Whenever there's a division, then people come in and rescue the day.
Yeah,
they solve a problem for you.
Yeah.
And I think let's not create problems. Let's discuss debate. And
I do worry a little bit that we're going to end up in a place where there's no people fixing big problems, because there's a culture of real geniuses being, they're not necessarily the best spokesperson. You put a microphone in front of a genius and they'll say something, they'll get things socially very badly wrong.
Yeah.
So I think we're driving out some of the geniuses in the world.
Oh, it's extraordinary.
Because there's a spotlight on everybody now. The minute you're doing well or you're financially successful or whatever, you're in, and I mean real high up, the 0.01% of the world. They've got the paps following them around and this, that, and the other. And everything gets taken out of context. They're not trained to be celebrity. They're geniuses because they're very bright, but they're not allowed to be, and I think I do worry the whole social media thing, we can worry about, Israel and Ukraine and everything else. I think social media is the killer it's just destroying culture. It's making everybody be very fake. And everybody's too scared to be themselves through fear of being labelled or called out or whatever, misrepresented.
It's interesting. one subject we probably missed out on AI and how would you view it? I think you sold your company because you saw something coming.
I think. I mean, it's way too early to say, and who am I? But I mean, AI, for what I did day in, day out, AI could have done that. So AI can't make a phone call and understand what my clients are into. So the difference between, someone great on the phone and someone unbelievable on the phone, someone amazing on the phone, is they understand who they're speaking to and what that person is into. And they then get into, and they're having an interesting conversation, about a common subject. Not on a superficial level, like genuinely, really, really into it. I had a client who was into boats. Now, the nearest I get to the water is getting out the swimming pool, down at the public baths, or getting out the bath. I learned very quickly he didn't get on with anybody unless she was into boats. And I used to go and buy every boating magazine from WH Smith's when I really wanted to understand this client really, really well. And we clicked. I remember the first time I met him, we'd had a couple of conversations over the phone, and then I met him and we were talking about rigid inflatables and what motor you would put on the back and this, that, and the other. And he was hypothesizing because he couldn't afford the £20 million yacht, nor could I. But we had a great conversation about it. What would you do? Where would you harbour that? What would you do? Dry dock it? Where would it be? And this, that, and the other. And we've gone way off topic here.
Yeah, no, but that's no topic. There is a topic. It's really interesting.
Yeah.
Knowing who you're dealing with and how AI cannot relate it.
AI is not going to be able to do that at all.
Do you think ever or just yet?
If it can do it later on, we're all doomed.
I think so.
Yeah, that's a massive worry. To understand nuance, to understand inflection in a voice. When you say a sentence, you can deliver encouragement or disappointment just in tone, just in inflection. If it can do that, wow. I mean, there'll be no musicians, no bands, it'll be able to do everything. But yeah, for the sort of day in, day out work that in recruitment. So if you're in if you're in a service industry, AI can do that 100%. It can do it really, really well. It can find things, pull them all together, so pick up a job with a client, it can pick it up straight away, send over the terms of business, get a fee agreed. Then it can find the CVs that are sitting on my database of 2 million candidates. It can format the CV and email it off and tell the client the candidate's available slots in their diary for an interview. It could do all of that in about 60 seconds.
Gets my head blown off.
That's just a process. So it's a process. It optimizes processes. That's what it's really, really good at. And pulling in lots of data sources and making sense of it all. So it can do that really, really well. Interestingly though, so a bit like the tobacco industry and a bit like the petrol and oil industry, I think the people that are making the money, that own all the companies, are not going to let it be able to do that. They're gonna be pulling it back.
I'm sure we are pulling now.
Yeah,
I'm sure we're doing it because what's coming, and it's like I'm ignorant as anything, and I don't know. But the Terminator doesn't sound like very far away.
Yeah,
I mean it's laughable.
Yeah,
and it fucking sounds out there.
Well, what scares me is the MOD are already using AI.
Well, we only got access to the public one, right? So what's going on behind the scenes?
Well, yeah, I mean, it's really worrying. Where it would really, what concerns me the most is I figured out that with social media, there's a lot of money to be made by looking. So when you on YouTube, you'll get someone doing a review of something and they're completely independent or whatever, blah, blah, blah. They're actually, they may well be paid by another company to promote or discredit a brand subconsciously in the background, when it's the topic of the YouTube video is nothing to do with that. And it's an undercurrent, and there's a lot of that goes on. Not just on YouTube, but TikTok and everything, Facebook, from the things that and I actually think that goes on with TV programs. I think there's a lot of undercurrent of message going on.
Yeah,
where that's coming from, and without being sounding like a crazy,
yeah, but everyone sounds crazy till then it becomes true, right?
Yeah,
it's like a reality.
But I think if AI figures out how to manipulate, we're all lambs to the slaughter, because we're all sucking up. We love it. We love a YouTube shorts or a TikTok, whatever, and you got to eat, what is it at the moment? Cottage cheese recipe for everything, and this, that, and the other, and there's just all this noise about just things move on, and it's all got to do this, all got to do that, all got to think this way, got to think that way. Most of it is probably a bit headless, without direction, maybe just to make a few bucks here and there. But I think when AI figures out it can control large number, like the majority of the voting age people, when it knows it can do that, and then it realizes that it's got an army of followers depending on whatever it wants them to believe or do, that sort of stuff keeps me awake at night.
I mean, it can be the generational thing, it's like somebody, Nescafe, I think, wanted to break into the Japanese market, and we were like, well, 18 years. And we're going, what would you mean? And we're like, well, what you do is make a sweetie chocolate for the kids with a coffee flavor, because fucking Japan doesn't drink coffee, right? So what are you gonna do in Japan? And it's like, so you're starting with the kids, they grow up, they're familiar with coffee, then you start selling it.
Yep.
It's like, how? That I think we spoke about the generational thing, and it's like wealth and planning.
Yeah.
Okay, maybe not me personally, but like I think about, myself first and then my kids.
Yeah.
Like, okay, well, how is it going to be, And then that's it. My thinking stops there.
Yep.
I'm going like, well, tomorrow my kids are all right. Fuck the grandkids.
Yeah. There's a line where it becomes very thin.
Yeah, but the generational wealth, for hundreds and hundreds of years, royal families and as such, they don't plan just the next 50 years, next 100 years.
I met a guy that actually deals with offshore, keeping wealth within a family and setting up trusts and offshore trusts and all sorts of stuff. And he said to me, it's not about the person setting it up, and it's not even about his kids. He's looking...
But the same goes with power.
50 years or 100 years, absolutely.
The same goes with power and control of it's interesting subject. You can go on and go on and go on. But Steve, do you want anything to discuss more or ask questions?
No, I did my 10K run this morning, and I've done 50K in like the last 5-6 days.
Oh wow!
It's a lot for me, for my little legs.
Nice.
And I hadn't eaten before I got here. So I've done all right, I think.
Yeah, no, you kept
I'm going to go home and destroy a Sunday lunch. I'm going to wear it. But it's been really good chatting to you.
Steve, thank you. Honestly, what a pleasure. Really insightful. Thank you very much for coming.
Thanks for having me.
You've been a great guest.
Cool.
Thanks so much.
Cheers, mate.
Cheers, mate. Thank you.